On this day, 20 years ago, the Chinese government killed an estimated 2,000 through 3,000 of its own citizens for the crime of doing what? Protesting in favor of their freedoms, their inalienable rights, which the government had denied them. Interestingly, the army that attempted to force protesters out of Tiananmen Square with tanks was known as the People's Liberation Army, a perfect illustration of the Orwellian doublethink that happens within the oligarchical collectivist states that call themselves communist. For lovers of liberty, such as myself, this event serves as a symbol. First of all, it is a symbol of what oppressive regimes will do to hold on to their power, of the lengths they will go to suppress dissent. It is estimated that 262 million people were murdered by their own governments within the 20th century alone. Now, that does not even include the people who were killed by opposing governments under wars. Then we find that this process goes on. Take the Islamic Republic of Iran, where people are executed for political activism, for being dissenters, for homosexuality and other forms of sexual deviancy. Dissidents are imprisoned, incarcerated, or even killed, face capital punishment in so many nations throughout the world. Aung San Suu Kyi, the Nobel Peace Prize winning democracy activist, is still imprisoned by the Burmese government. This sort of repression has not stopped. It's still happening in China with censorship and brutal human rights violations. But at the same time, the iconic image of a man standing before the tanks, of a man who is willing to stop them, to risk his own life, so as to prevent the march of fascism, of communism, of authoritarianism, of murderous governments. That is an icon for all of us, a symbol of what we must do to end this sort of brutal violation of human rights that keeps happening under every government. As Radley Balko said in a blog post today, today ought to be a day to celebrate and promote human liberty, and to remember the abuses governments have heaped upon their subjects over the centuries. So go find your own metaphor for the government tank pictured. Then put yourself in front of it. Today is a reminder that governments, even at their worst, are collectives of people, and that they will go to extreme lengths to hold on to their illegitimate power. It is a symbol of the sorts of murder that we can see at the hands of the state. And it is a symbol of what ordinary people can do to try and stop this. It reminds us, or at least it reminds me, of the words of Mario Savio, with which I shall close this video.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart, that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.